Parents of the missing girls are desperately trying to hold on to hope. Today they visited the girls' school in Chibok, where the kidnapping took place on April 14th. A reverend who spoke to one of the victims' fathers described why the waiting and not knowing is so unbearable.
It is better that you know that the child is dead. But when the child is alive and in the hands of people who you know can kill, people who you know can rape.
Congresswoman Karen Bass met with officials at the Nigerian embassy yesterday. She joins me now live from Capitol Hill. And Congresswoman, thank you first for being here. And I want to ask you, what was the result of that meeting that you had with the Nigerian ambassador?
Well, first of all, the purpose of the meeting was for members of Congress to go over to talk with the Nigerian embassy to get the latest information about what was going on. Unfortunately, we weren't able to meet with the ambassador. The ambassador was in Nigeria, but we did call him, and essentially he gave us his assurance that the Nigerians were doing everything they possibly could. And now I am somewhat comforted that at least the international community has stepped in. And you know, Joy, that Boko Haram has been a problem for many, many years. And if anything comes out of this, I really do hope it's, as President Jonathan said, that this marks the beginning of the end of Boko Haram.
And, you know, Congresswoman, you said that you're sort of mildly optimistic, but did it ring true to you that the Nigerian government really is doing all it can? Because it does seem that they were very slow off the mark and that they only responded when the international real revulsion over these kidnappings really kicked in.
Well, I think what added to them being slow is that there was misinformation in the beginning. You might remember that when the girls were first kidnapped, they reported that they had rescued all the girls. So in addition to them moving slow, there was the misinformation that was put out. I do think that Boko Haram has been a horrific problem in the country for a very long time, but shining the attention of the world raises it to the level where they had to act very aggressively. You might remember that 2 weeks before the girls were kidnapped, there was a bombing that took place in the capital of Nigeria, and then the same day or the day after, there was another bombing in the capital. So they've been dealing with Boko Haram for a long time, but clearly now, with the world's attention focused, they have to do absolutely everything in their power to eliminate Boko Haram.
Yeah, indeed. And Congresswoman, NBC News has learned that the additional 9 or 10 military members who will be a part of the coordination cell are expected to arrive within next week. Secretary Kerry mentioned the U.S. effort today. Take a listen, please.
Sure.
Our interagency team is hitting the ground in Nigeria now, and they are going to be working in concert with President Goodluck Jonathan's government to do everything that we possibly can to return these girls to their families and their communities. We are also going to do everything possible to counter the menace of Boko Haram.
And Congresswoman, in your mind, what is the stomach of your fellow members of Congress to do robust action on the part of the U.S., potentially even using some members of the U.S. military to find these girls and to actually get on the ground and help in the physical search?
Well, I think, first of all, what I have found from Democrats, Republicans, senators, and House members is a universal outrage at what has happened and calling for the U.S. to do all it can. And so, for example, one of the ways that the U.S. can contribute significantly, and I know that this is not just beginning, but our ability to provide surveillance information, because you know that one of the biggest concerns is that the girls are being moved to different countries. You may know that when they moved military troops, Nigerian troops, to look for the girls, they moved them away from the village, and then Boko Haram went and killed 100 people in that village just yesterday. And so they absolutely have an issue of not having the capacity to address this problem, and they need the support from the rest of the world. I do not think, however, that that means that we need to deploy U.S. troops. I know that the military our military has already been engaged in an advisory way, and I think that's appropriate for that to continue.
I want to engage you on this question of capacity, but just for a moment, I want to allow you to listen to some sound from the President of the United States, President Barack Obama, and his comments about what's going on right now in Nigeria. Please take a listen.
The murders and kidnappings in Nigeria, the sectarian conflict, the tribal conflicts, to see that we have not yet extinguished man's darkest impulses.
And Congresswoman, you know, talking about that, this sort of widespread sectarian problem, the endemic problems that preceded this abduction, you said Nigeria doesn't have the capacity. What about the African Union? Where is the capacity on the continent to deal with these problems without the U.S. having to actually send in military aid?
You know, you're absolutely right. And one of the tragedies is that there's multiple crises occurring right now. Democratic Republic, the Central African Republic. And so the AU is engaged in many of those battles. But you do know, and take Mali for an example, you know, in Mali they had to call on the French for support because the African Union did not have the ability to bring troops together and deploy them that quickly. So capacity really is an issue. But you know what? Ultimately, we have to get at the root causes for cults like Boko Haram to gain traction. And so I'm happy. I've read recently that Africa's largest, well, most wealthiest person, a billionaire, has agreed to invest in the northern part of Nigeria because if you look at the root causes, a lot of times it's people who are unemployed, who have no hope, no future, that are seduced by psychopaths like the head of Boko Haram. And so the investment by the UK to provide security for the schools in northern Nigeria, this is a problem of poverty that has to be addressed. And so while we are addressing the immediate problem, we also need to address the root causes that led to the ability for a cult to recruit people in the way that they have.
Well said. Thank you so much for your insights, Congresswoman Karen Bass. Appreciate it.
Thank